Welcome to the Nova Hoopcast. We got Kevin back with us this week, so we're back to normal. We were a little bit out of sorts last week, me and Buster trying to figure it out in the car.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the coaches in cars getting caffeine. It looked like fun, and Gary Hall is someone I always enjoy talking to. Really good job by you guys, but I am back.
You're back.
And we got a lot to talk about today.
We'll get back in the car sometime, I think, if Buster's
I think
up
so.
for it.
I think so.
Obviously, we're here at Freedom High School in South Riding. We've been talking for a while about coming out here, and we're able to get together today with Justin. So beforehand, we had an opportunity to speak with Justin. So why don't we roll that video now, Buster? Okay, we're here at Freedom High School in South Riding with Coach Justin Powers, getting ready to start the class. Thanks for having us today, Coach.
Oh, thanks for coming. Appreciate having you.
And let's be clear about this. Freedom South Riding, not Freedom
Right.
Woodbridge. I don't know how it happened, but we have two Freedoms about 17 miles apart with the same logo and the same colors. But this Freedom is on a roll. Justin Powers has been coach here for a couple of years, done a phenomenal job, won the district in 2017, 2018, last year, 2019, went on to the 5A state finals and is having another good year and is contending for this year's championship. Coach, tell us a little bit about that role and what do you think has been a big part of success in the last couple of seasons?
Well, I think, we've had a lot of great players here the last few years. One thing when I first came here is kind of changing the culture. A lot of the previous teams here at Freedom, weren't really used to winning, didn't know, what it took to win. So my first few years, we won in 22 first year. It was just kind of a struggle to get those kids to buy in. And just the past few years, we've had a lot of success with kids competing, wanting to win, working really hard in practice. And I just feel like we've established a winning culture here.
You really had a lot to overcome in building that culture. Who was here, not the coach before you, but maybe two coaches before you? Do you remember who that was?
I can't remember. Do you happen to remember?
I don't remember, but good people, I'm sure. And we can go into I'd like to go back to Centerville and talk about some of the things that have happened in Centerville. And the culture changes happened there as well.
If I had hired Justin Powers to be on my staff.
Yeah, that's a little known fact that Brian
run.
interviewed Justin years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a freshman coach.
Coach.
Ended up, we got a better offer from South County. So,
Mike Flugrath took care of business, closed the deal, as I said.
Yeah.
Well, let me jump in there on a more serious note. You talk about the culture, and like I've seen your team play, I've seen your team camp and all that, and that kind of stands out to me is that maybe the values of your team, all your players, when a player hits the floor, taking a charge or dive for a loose ball, everybody runs to help them up. You guys run really good stuff. Like everybody seems to be on the same page. Like that's one of the things that jumps out at me when I watch your team play. So is that kind of part of the culture that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's something that we really preach. We really focus on taking charges, doing the dirty work. I think I started off giving Gatorades, body armors. The kids, I know people give gift cards and stuff now, begging kids to take charges. But that's something in practice we really focus on trying to take charges. And it's just every single time somebody hits the floor, myself, my assistant coach, we're yelling for kids to help each other up. So just that team family mentality is something that, I wanted to establish here where I feel like, everybody is trying to win not only for themselves, but for their family member, their teammate. So that's something that even in the off season, we try and build that. We do a lot of team building activities where we, laser tag and different things, bowling, and just try and get, where it's a family.
Right.
I talked a little bit about the success you've had the last couple of years. It seems like you guys are always butting heads with Potomac Falls. Last year, you guys played 5 times. We've talked about that in previous shows, and I'm sure they were, somebody you had to contend with the other years as well. Tell us a little bit about playing Potomac Falls and what's that been like.
Well, when I first got the job here, we were in the same district, and Potomac Falls was handling us for a few years. We were the little guy at the time, and so it was kind of like looking at them as, that's what you kind of want to develop, that type of tradition. But yeah, the past few years, I think it really starts with the quadruple overtime championship game that we had. I know that season we beat them both times during the regular season and went into the championship game. And neither game I think was that close during the season, but championship game, quadruple overtime, and Jeremy Cofield hit the game-winning shot to win the game. I think that kind of really started it. And then the last few years, obviously last year, beating them at their place in the district tournament to end their undefeated season, and then they turn around and they beat us here to win the regional championship, and so they got their revenge, and then turn around and we beat them in the state semifinals. So it was kind of a back and forth, but I think there's a lot of mutual respect between the teams. I know my team, just really gets up for that rivalry.
Right.
There's times where I have to we got to play harder against this opponent, we got to play harder,
Right.
but for Pot Falls, we just always seem to bring it. And we've matched up really well, with Ian last year and Landon, we have size, so we were one of the few teams that could really match up with what they had, so.
Definitely some epic battles. Coach, let's talk about last year for a second. You lost in the state final last year. Obviously bittersweet, I'm sure, with some time. You've got to be pretty proud of that performance last year. But what did that experience do, especially for the younger kids that were on that team kind of coming into this year?
Well, I definitely think that it was I don't want to say it was unexpected last year, but it was just, finishing the year 12-10 last year and just kind of getting that, going on that great run was just a great experience. This year, we have a lot of guys coming back, and I think it was just, they saw what it takes to get to that point, and, I'm hoping that as we approach playoffs, that we have that extra experience that, you can't take plays off, you have to follow the game plan and stuff like that, because for that run, it seemed like every single game we were just focused, did all the right,
I think once they get on that run, you kind of step back and let them do what they've been doing. When you get on a run like you guys had last year, you don't tweak a whole lot. And I think there are very high expectations for this year coming in. Tell us a little bit about your seniors and what they've been doing for you.
Well, we have a great group of seniors. We've had, I've had Lance Johnson for 4 years. He's just, I don't think he gets as much recognition, just because he's not a 20-point scorer like some of the guys in the area, but he's just, school, all-time leading rebounder, charges, blocks, he's a force defensively. I think teams have to change their game plan the way they attack against him, because he does protect the rim, and, he does take charges, so you always have to look for him in the drive. So he's a very valuable member. Robbie Kemmerer has been on our team for 3 years now. He's had a ton of experience, and he seems to always rise in big moments. In the state championship game, at the very beginning, that first quarter, we were kind of rattled a little bit. He was the one guy that kind of, he didn't care who he was playing against. He was just a competitor. He battles every night. So, he's been a great, player for us for a few years. And Nick Westfall is a guy who's just, a lot of teams. Just because he doesn't score a ton of points, but he takes charges, he's always talking defensively, always, moving around, boxing out, does all the dirty work. I think one of you commented once and playing like a 30-year-old man, because he just does all the dirty work. Anish Kalin has been doing some great things for us off the bench. He's had an 18-point game, really active on the offensive glass. We've got other seniors. Jalen Harrison is a great defensive player for us. Zach Honing's a good three-point shooter. So we definitely have, and I apologize if I miss anybody, but we have a great group of seniors that have all been there through the state championship that have returned. Obviously the Los Angeles was a big hit for us during football season.
But his brothers,
his brother's playing great.
Well,
and he was, he as a sophomore didn't really know what to expect when he first came in. Kind of felt out things for the first few games, but he's had some really big games for us, as well. So.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing what happens down the stretch. You guys are capable, like a lot of teams this year, of making a postseason run. Good luck with that. We do have our closing question that Kevin always.
Well, I'll let you pick what's your answer here. One, can you show us one of the poses that your yoga team, your team has been doing yoga a lot. Maybe you could show us one of the poses that your team has been doing, or you could get away with just telling us where you eat in the area. What's a good place to eat near South Riding, or maybe you want to get out of South Riding and go eat closer to home where you live in Prince William. But what's a go-to spot here in the southern part of the county?
Well, I do think I have to pass up the yoga invitation. Maybe off camera we can work out some yoga. But South Riding, there's a lot of chain restaurants that I think are pretty common around the area. I will say there's a pizza place that just opened up, which is, I'm from upstate New York, and it's a Buffalo, New York style pizza place. It's called Bad Pizza. So with 2 D's. So I, being an upstate New Yorker, I kind of heard about that pizza place. I tried it a couple weeks ago, and it is good.
Right.
It's
Bad pizza.
Good. The wings are very good. It's the Buffalo, style wings. So something different.
So this is your kind of weather down here right now. The cold. This is what you're used to.
Well, I've been down here for 15 years now, so I've turned into a wimp. So now, if it gets cold, I'm bundled up. But in my first couple years down here, I think I was t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah. What's the problem? What's wrong with you? There's no snow days.
Exactly. Yeah. But now it's changed me in 15 years.
You're soft. I like it.
Right.
Don't tell my players.
That's right. That's right.
Well, again, you have built that winning culture and winning tradition here. We wish you luck down the stretch into the playoffs. So thanks for having us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Coach.
Okay, Kevin, I wasn't taking a shot at you. I just know you coached here for a couple of years. Touche.
It was a little bit of a shot.
I coached at Centerville.
Hey,
we didn't quite
do we want to go down that road?
We didn't quite get it done the way
we can go down that
wanted
road
to.
and talk about our lack of success at
Right.
certain coaching jobs.
Nobody wants to
It
hear
hurt.
that.
It hurt. It's a little early, and it hurt a little bit.
that.
But hey,
So-
some people know what we're talking about. Some people we don't.
Yes.
So let's just move on. Let's get into playoffs.
Let's do it. So all season long we build for this time of year. We always talk about you want to be playing your best this time of year, and it's here. So Kevin, why don't we?
All right, let's talk about what's happened in Prince William with Cedar Run, and we're very close to Champ High School, who's in the Cedar Run, the only Loudoun County school in the Cedar Run district. The rest are Prince William teams. They have already wrapped up their district tournament. Champ beats Battlefield by a lot.
Yeah, a little surprise.
A little surprised they beat them by a lot, but the Jaspers playing very, very well. The Jasper twins. And I think we talked about them a little bit, maybe not a lot. Maybe we should have talked about it a little bit more, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But Jalen and James doing a great job for Champ. Jalen finishes that semifinal game with 26 points. And then Patriot beats Osborne in the other semifinal. So they go to the championship, which is 1 and 2 seed, which is a very good championship. And Patriot just blows them away, 83-65.
15 wins in a row.
15 wins, 20 and 4.
Yeah, really.
And I'd have to go back and look at their schedule. A couple of those losses were very early on. Obviously, they won 15 in a row, but they had a very tough schedule. So Patriot, one of those teams that playing well at the right times.
Yeah, I think Patriot and Potomac, another school in Prince William, that are both really peaking at the right time. So,
well, good segue. Let's talk about the Cardinal, the other Prince William district. When you talk about the Cardinal, you always mention Potomac, but Woodbridge having a fantastic year this year. Finished as the 2 seed, but are upset by the 7 seed Garfield in the first round. So that was very interesting over there. Colgan beats Hayfield in an overtime game. Hilton, sorry, thank you. Hilton. And then into the championship goes, and after Forest Park beats Freedom, and the championship goes Forest Park and Potomac, which has yet to be played.
Right.
So the 1 and the 3 seed over in Cardinal, that'll be a very good game in Prince William.
Yeah, that Garfield win, one of the enjoyable things, unless you're part of it, I guess, about the postseason is there's going to be upsets somewhere along the way, and you try to predict where they're going to be. So there's one right there with Garfield beating Woodbridge, and there will be more, I'm sure.
For sure. All right, Brian, let's move into Fairfax County. We've got 5 districts. We've got a lot going on. Let's jump into the Liberty, where you have the semifinals of Yorktown playing W&L, which is a great rival. Will be a lot of fun for those fans. And then Herndon playing at South Lakes. 2
rivalry games there.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Arlington rivalry, and then the rest in Herndon is a legendary rivalry. That Yorktown-Langley game in the first round went into overtime, so Patriots advanced there.
That's been a fun district to watch all year. Let's move into the Concord, where you have Oakton and Centerville in one semi, and then you have Westfield and Madison in the other semifinal.
Madison, who hasn't lost a game in the Concord all year.
Coach of the Year did a phenomenal job. And then finally, let's move into the Patriot, where you have Robinson at South County and Fairfax at Lake Braddock.
Yeah, and that's also, I think, been a fun district to watch this year. So the Fairfax Rebels will travel to Lake Braddock. They've lost both games to Braddock this year, but they've both been competitive. South County, obviously the #1 seed over there, will play Robinson. Robinson can play them tough, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Gunston, Kevin, they're kind of just getting started, right? I think we have Annandale beat Mount Vernon in a 4-5 game.
And they'll continue on Monday. The Nationals kind of in the same boat. They just finished their regular season on Friday, so they start the tournament next week. So got a lot of good games coming up this week in Fairfax. In Loudoun, things are a little bit different. They're a little bit behind. The Dulles District has completed their regular season. That was won by Loudoun County High School. We'll go into regular season champs here in a minute. But the Potomac plays their last regular season game on Tuesday with a lot of good games there that will have impact on standings. Specifically, you have Potomac Falls playing Rockridge and Stonebridge playing Freedom, all which will dictate what happens when we start the playoffs the following week.
So it's interesting because when you play that last 1 or 2 regular season games, it's basically playoff time because, like you said, those very last games will determine seeding. So it is like playoff basketball already.
And that Potomac district has been close all year. That it doesn't surprise me that we're getting to the last game in terms of the season. But I think that'll be probably one of the most fun districts to watch because I would put, anybody in that top six as a contender to win it if they play well. Right, just the way it goes. So Brian, let's also review the regular season champs. If you want to go through that real quick, starting with the Concord.
Yeah, and the Concord South Lakes comes out on top. They've been consistent this year. They really haven't had any downtime.
No.
They played well all year. We talked about in the Patriots South County. So they beat Braddock last week in that last regular season game to take the top seed there. In the Concord, we just mentioned Madison.
Running the table. I would say that was a little surprising to me. I saw them play in Summer League, and I thought they definitely have talent, but I think that's a lot of good coaching going on there.
Yeah. In the National District, Wakefield and Edison tied, but with the tiebreakers, Edison comes out with the number 1 seed. Gunston, West Potomac, we talked about
West Potomac,
this year.
they surprised some people as well. The Cedar Run, that was won by Patriot. And then the Cardinal and Prince William was won by Potomac. And then I already mentioned that in the Dulles District, Loudoun County ran the table as well and had a great season there. So, a lot of those teams, I think, surprise people. Some are sort of the usual contenders. Let me kind of switch gears here a little bit, Brian. I want to come back to players of the year in each district, but let's talk a little bit about maybe some teams, if we gave awards out, maybe some teams that you thought were some of the biggest surprise teams of this year.
So you're giving me the opportunity to name a couple. I don't have to just pick one.
I have a couple written down. I want to see if we're on the same page.
All right, let's see if we are. We have not talked about this ahead of time. So I wrote down Falls Church. They're 9-3 in their league, 14-8 overall. Have a really nice season. I wrote down Madison, just being 8-0.
Agreed.
I'm not shocked that they are at the top. I mean, it's a mild surprise, but just the fact that they ran the table in that league. And Loudoun County got 13-1 in their league.
Okay, so they did lose one. Yep.
Yeah. According to my friend Chris Jolly at NoahHoops.com, I think that's the Bible if you get on his website.
We use it all the time. Nova Hoops is a place to go, but I agree with you. Any more out there that surprised you a little bit?
Those were the ones I picked.
Well, I'm gonna throw West Potomac out there. I didn't see that coming as well. They graduated a lot of great players. I didn't see them finishing, first in that league. And I'd also throw out there Lake Braddock. I think Lake Braddock graduated a lot of kids, and I didn't see them as being as good as they've been this year as well.
Okay, I got one more then. Let's put Patriot in there too.
I agree.
Just the way they're playing right now, and again, coming off, they had a great group for a couple years, and a number of those guys graduated last year.
They're reloading.
Yeah, they're kind of
reloading. Well, that leads me to my second category. My second category.
Sexy category?
My sexy category. I'm a little off today, Brian. It's been a long weekend for me, but the next category or the next award is They Are Always Good award. And that's kind of like, man, they're always good. Why are they always so good? Who would be in that category? Like, they're just doing what they always do.
That was harder. And what's interesting to me in looking at these questions that you posed, I got a couple schools that I feel like I can put in all 3 categories.
Oh, I've got one school I could put in all 3 for sure.
I would say I listed too many in this category. I put Madison in there because, and what I mean by that is they're not always a dominant team, but I think they always achieve their potential or a little bit above their potential every year. South County, Braddock, Patriot, Is it too early to put Patriot in? Like by always? How long is always?
Well, I'd say recent memory,
Yeah.
the last 3-4 years.
Right.
Yeah, they're always there. You're like, wow, they're good again this year.
Yeah. So there's other teams that have done it for years and years and years, and I would put Potomac into that. I mean, gosh, 20 years, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Potomac Falls, I think, has been good since the school opened, pretty much. And I would put Loudoun Valley in there too. They've
Loudoun
always
Valley.
got good teams.
I would put Wakefield
Yep.
in there as well.
Yep.
Another team that just keeps getting it done year in, year out.
Yeah.
How about the wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs award?
Yeah, I mean that's like a little bit of a cliche, and coaches talk about
Yeah,
it too.
but who's dangerous that
Yeah.
maybe didn't win their league, but you're thinking, oh my gosh, we're in
Yeah.
regionals, I got to play them.
So I put a couple teams in this category. Falls Church. I think one thing you worry about is, would your kids take them a little bit lightly? And they're a good team, so I would be concerned about playing them. Madison, again, because we've seen Madison get on postseason rolls. Now, obviously, they were on a regular season roll this year, too, going 8-0 in the league. And because of how hard they play, and they just don't make a lot of mistakes. And then, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, because we play them on Tuesday night, but Braddock, just because of their style of play.
I agree. I put Braddock in every category. Surprise teams, always good, and wouldn't want to play them. I agree with Lake Braddock.
There you go, Meat.
There you go. Somebody tell Metris.
Anybody else?
I put Yorktown in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Style
remember when they were like
play.
15-0?
Right.
And then they got in district play and they started to lose a little bit, but the talent's still there. I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play Centerville either.
Yeah.
I think Centerville's had some good wins,
Agreed.
and I think they would be a team I'd be nervous about. And the last one I put in there is TC. I think they've quietly had a very good season.
Agreed.
I think, we don't see them as much, but they did beat West Potomac. They do have talent, and I don't know if I'd want to see them
All right.
as well.
So I got to ask you one more question related to that. We're sitting here in Freedom South Riding. Which category would you put them in? I don't think they're the biggest surprise. Are they in the always good
I think
category
if
yet?
we're
or are they
going
in the-
recent memory, we talked about them winning district championships here the last couple of years. I would put them, why are they always good? That annoys me as another coach. So I'd put them in, they are always good award.
The other interesting thing when you said you wouldn't want to play them, all coaches sit down and look at the brackets, your district tournament, your regional tournament, and you're looking through every possible scenario. Look, if we get by this team, we're going to have to face that team in the second round. And so that's kind of where we wouldn't want to play them question comes in when coaches sit down and look at those brackets. So you had mentioned some of the individual awards.
Yeah, I think we should go over the Player of the Year awards. They have happened in Fairfax, they've happened in Prince William, they have not happened yet in Loudoun County. So let's just go through Fairfax first, starting with your district, the Patriot District. Co-Players of the Year, Daniel Bongay from Fairfax and Will Wilson from South County. And you had a chance to obviously see them a lot.
Yeah, both tremendous players. Daniel Bongay's really taken a step forward this year and had a great year. And Will Wilson, the interesting thing there is I think there's any number of players on South County that could have fallen into that category, from Wilson to Andre Spate, Trenton Peacock, Cody Kellum. They've got a really good first group, and any number of those guys could have been in that category, and they did earn all district recognition.
But definitely two great players there. In the Gunston District, moving on, Daniel Peterson from Hayfield, which is interesting to me. I know Daniel very well, coached him in AAU, phenomenal kid, but Hayfield did not win that district. They weren't really even close. I think they were like third or fourth.
Right.
But to have somebody who's, not, Fairfax was up there, South County was up there, but Daniel, obviously a special player, being from the fourth place team and getting the Player of the Year award.
Yeah, that says a lot that you earn that kind of respect from coaches in your league, because, like conventional wisdom is you look at the number one or
Top
number
team,
two teams and who are their best players. So for Daniel to earn that award says a lot.
In the National, you have co-players of the year again. You have Caleb Botts from Falls Church and Jared Clausen from Edison.
Yeah, we've talked about both of those kids, and again, really great season for Falls Church.
I think
They're not
Caleb
done.
Botts, I knew was going to be a good player. I didn't think he'd be Player of the Year. I think he's had a phenomenal year, and congratulations to him. And Jared Clausen, a name that has been around for a couple years. He's been on varsity, scored 1,000 points, but getting it done there for Edison as well.
Right. Concord.
We have Soren Almquist from Madison.
Yeah.
Another good player. He's already committed to Hood College, a D3 school in Frederick, but having a great year for Coach Roller.
Liberty, we got Joseph Dagby from South Lakes. We've talked about him quite a bit. He's committed to Long Island for football.
Correct.
Great kid, and he's a difference maker. Sometimes scores, sometimes doesn't, but he helps you win every game.
Well, as he showed last year, he hit the game-winning shot to win them a championship.
Right.
He's just a gamer, super exciting, maybe the best athlete we've talked about all year, but he's done a phenomenal job. Moving on to Prince William, you have a junior, Tyrell Harris from Potomac, and I think they're loaded, and you have a junior as the player of the year. Is very exciting for Coach Honore moving forward. And then last but not least, in the Cedar Run, Ethan Wilson from Osborne Park, two-time player of the year. So this is his second time, which is pretty good.
And an explosive scorer.
Yes.
So Coach Powers was telling us in Loudon, I guess they don't vote on this until after the playoffs, right?
Well,
Or
in
is
Potomac, this is confusing.
Yeah.
In the Potomac District, there's 7 teams. Their region is made up of the 7 teams from Potomac plus 2 Fairfax County schools, TJ and Lee. That's the entire region.
Right.
So they don't play a district tournament at all. So what they do is they go right into the region tournament.
Right.
So they're not going to have their voting. They're really, if you're all district or all region, you're all district. So it's kind of one and the same. They did this with football as well.
Right.
So they're going after the region tournament. They will vote for all district and for all region. So I think that'll be an interesting player of the year as well. We discussed earlier that we think it'll be whoever kind of finishes on top.
Yeah.
Whoever that player, that team is, whoever the best player is. It could be Landon Hawes. It could be Lance Johnson. It could be Isaiah Rhodes from Stonebridge. A lot of good teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting to me because your perspective on that could change a lot at the end of the regular season as opposed to at the end of the playoffs. If somebody gets a hot hand and carries their team to a championship, that carries a lot of weight.
Well, a lot of honors coming these kids' way, well-deserved, which kind of segues into the last thing I want to talk about, which is the Nova Challenge coming up on March 22nd. We have announced our coaches. We've announced the coaches. We sent that out on Twitter and on Instagram. Starting off with the underclassmen game, we have Coach Mike Desmond from South Lakes. Will be coaching one team, and Jeremy Coleman from Osborne Park will be coaching the other team. So 2 very young coaches doing a great job at their respective schools. They will be coaching underclassmen who have made all district. And just to be clear how we have those selections, or how we do those selections, we start with the first team all district. And if you're an underclassman and you're on that first team, you will make it, and we'll kind of work our way down.
Right. The inaugural underclassmen game, we're excited about that. Again, it'll be the first game of the day over at Fairfax High School,
Right.
March 22nd.
March 22nd, that's a Sunday. That'll be the 1 o'clock game. The 2:30 game after that will be Prince William playing Fairfax. Prince William will be coached by Keith Honore, having a great year at Potomac. And a good friend of yours, Mike Barbie from Fairfax, will coach the Fairfax team. So that'll be 2:30. We'll have our dunk and our 3-point competition after that. And then the last game of the night will be Loudoun County, led by Kent Kling, who's the new coach at Stonebridge, has done a great job this year. And then the Arlington Alexandria team, who they'll be playing, will be coached by Tony Benton from Wakefield. So a lot of great coaches. And we're working very, very hard on getting those selections. You're going to see these players of the year for sure, but we're going to have a lot of other great players there as well.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing all these guys out there on the court together. It's a fun event. Maybe not a lot of defense play, but but it's exciting. We just had the NBA stuff, I guess, last night. So it's good to bring everybody together. And again, it'll be streamed live on dmvstream.com, but please come out and support that game. And
always exciting, always a lot of fun. And we'll talk more about it, on our next show. But that's a big deal for us, I think, here at Nova Hoopcast. It's something that we do in addition to the weekly broadcast. And we have a lot of fun with it, not only promoting basketball in Northern Virginia, but giving to a good charity, which is really kind of why we do it. So we'll talk more about that next time.
Yeah, thanks again to Justin Powers for having us out here to Freedom. Like I said, we talked for a long time about trying to get out of here, so glad we were finally able to make it happen. And playoff time is here. Enjoy some basketball this week.
See you next time. Thanks, Buster.